Why do I keep over trading and going full tilt, revenge trading, and trying to make my money back immediately when I take a loss? And it happens over and over again. This is what I'm going to talk about in today's video and how to overcome these challenges and how our brains are wired to do this and how to overcome these inner battles and what I did to overcome this that took me years to master. But before I get into it, I have some exciting news for you guys. I finally launched my free Discord. You can join that. The link's below. I have some really awesome stuff there for you. I'm actually giving away a free educational PDF. You can hop over to Discord. You can grab that. The link should be below here in this video. Now, let's get into it. Quick disclaimer before I go any further. I'm not a financial advisor. Nothing I say here is financial advice. Trading is risky. Most people do lose all their capital they trade with. Everything I share here is for educational purposes only and nothing more. You're responsible for your own trading decisions. All right, let's get into one of the most underrated topics, I think, and what it takes to progress as a trader. And I think this is often overlooked a lot in trading. Believe it or not, there are a lot of traders, and maybe some of you watching this video, who have huge potential, but there are things that are wired or hardwired in our brains that keep us from these things. And I've gone through this personally, and I'm going to explain, and I'm going to talk about my personal experience in the battle with myself. Trading is a funny thing, because what it will do to you, it will actually reveal who you truly are. When I look in the mirror in the morning, I find out who I truly am when it comes to trading, whether it's ugly or whether it's good. And what I'm going to get into here today in this video is how I overcame my over trading, revenge trading, and the need or urge to continue trading when I've taken a loss. So let's just take this scenario for a minute. I'm going to talk about myself here because those are my own personal experiences. I'm going to share them with you. I took a loss today. All right. Let's hypothetically say that I've taken a loss, and I still take losses. Losses are a part of the game. But today, let's assume that I've taken a loss in trading. And let's talk about the old me. Immediately, when I take that loss, the old me would want a revenge trade or have this urge or need to be in another trade to make that money back instantly. And believe it or not, I kept doing this over and over and over again. It didn't matter how many times it repeated itself. Weeks would go by, months would go by, years would go by, and I would keep on doing the same stupid thing over and over. And that is take a loss. I can't stand it. I look for another trade. I revenge trade. I lose that trade. I figure, why not take another trade? And then I start going full tilt into accounts, losing evaluations, losing prop firm sim funded accounts. And then at the end of the day, I feel absolutely disgusted with myself. All right. That was the old me. I'm going to talk a lot about the old me. The new me, this still happens from time to time, but I have things in place that have helped me manage this. And that's what this is truly about, is how I am able to manage those urges. And I'm going to share them with you here because perhaps they may be able to help some people watching this video and maybe not, but I'm going to share them with you anyhow. I realized after a long time in my trading, and I hate to admit this, literally years, that more than likely I wasn't going to be able to rewire myself. I'm built a certain way. I have a very addictive personality. And I realized that for me, it wasn't going to be as easy as it was for others to overcome the need to get into another trade after a loss or to be able to accept the loss. So I had to put systems in place to manage this. And for me personally, to manage this, when I would take a loss, it could be one or two, I would have multiple other accounts on standby that were either other evaluation accounts from prop firms or other sim funded accounts. But here's the kicker. For example, I may only have 10 sim funded accounts and I'm trading them. Now, I'm not trading them all at once because I know that I need to reserve maybe one or two of those accounts to feed that urge for me personally. This is what works for me personally. If I'm trading 10 sim funded accounts, I set aside one or two where if I feel that need or urge coming on that I need to find another trade, or I'm forcing something that isn't actually there, I'll take it in one of those accounts. And I understand that I am satisfying that urge or need or trying to manage what I can't control or manage how I'm personally wired or hardwired. So when I take that trade and I lose that trade, I then go, aha, see, I would have lost that in one of my other sim funded accounts where I'm taking my true trades for the day and following my plan to the T or as close as I possibly can. And even then, when that happens, If I lose that trade there and I still have that urge, I'm getting a little upset or I'm getting a little angry that I lost that trade, even in my other sim funded account that I don't really care about. If I need to take another trade, instead of doing that in my main sim funded account, I'll go over to an evaluation account now and I'll take that trade. And when I lose that trade there as well, then I finally stop and say, all right, you know what? These are the same stupid mistakes I made years ago that have held me back in my trading that I just can't afford to make anymore. And over time, as I have implemented this, I do it less and less and less. So, meaning when I take my trade for the day and it's a loss, I typically try to take one or two trades and allow myself about two losses maximum. When I take those, I'm done. And if that urge pops up, I'm going into another sim funded account or another evaluation account just to feed that urge. And it's becoming less and less. There are a lot of days now where I just take my loss, my two, and I don't even have that urge. I just walk away. I'm on to other activities. I go for a walk. I do whatever it is that gets me away from the PC and then refocused on something else. And then I find myself doing that less and less or needing to do that less and less. But I'm sharing this because I don't really think it's that easy to rewire somebody to be able to accept the loss. And not many videos talk about the psychology or the mindset behind trading. There are a lot of people out there who I think have actually profitable systems. But you know what? Give it to 10 or 20 people, and there's a good chance most of them are going to fail because they're not able to control these kinds of emotions or they haven't put systems in place to battle themselves. And in order to implement that system, I had to look at myself in the mirror and I had to come to terms with I have a problem with over trading, with full tilting, with full porting, with wanting to keep trading and wanting to stay in the markets and wanting to stare at screens forever. I had to admit to myself that that was ugly and that was disgusting. And I hated that about myself, looking in the mirror and realizing that. But once I realized that and I was able to tackle that problem looking in the mirror, I was able to look beyond that because beyond that was a trader who was disciplined, who had patience, and who waited. But they were so far back in that mirror, all right, so deep in that mirror, it was really hard to see that on the surface. And that's just something that a lot of traders, including myself early on, just didn't have was that patience to wait. There are some days, guys, believe it or not, I don't even have a trade setup, or I may wait 3 hours for a trade setup. I hate those days because I sit here staring at the screen for a long time. But if my setup is not there, I'm just carefully waiting like a sniper. And I honestly don't think many traders can sit that long and not press a button. Again, because our minds are wired to be doing things, to be taking action. If we're not doing something, then we're not progressing, right? So the whole idea behind this is being able to sit and watch everything happen around myself. All right. Watch the market go up and down, watch things happen and do nothing. Do absolutely nothing until my setup is there. And if my setup doesn't come, then there's the next day or the following day. And over time, as I documented this over and over, happening for a very long period of time, years, I started looking at column A, the trader who is patient and waits for setups and started logging what would have happened. And then trader B, the trader who gets impatient, revenge trades, over trades. And you know what? There was a distinct difference between those two traders, all right, between myself as a patient trader versus myself as a impatient trader enforcing things. Even though at times the impatient trader had wins, had successes, and it looked like, oh, hey, I'm going to be this great trader long term, it would be short lived. Trader A, on the other hand, who had patience and could wait, sometimes they'd fall behind. They wouldn't have setups. It would be boring. But over the long term, that trader was much more successful in their trading. And I don't know who needs to hear this or if this will actually help anybody. Again, I'm just sharing my experience. I truly believe that there are some really good systems out there, but they simply require patience. So being patient, being a boring trader, and not trying to be flashy, trying to have all kinds of trades in a single day and force trades has actually helped me tremendously. Again, if you liked what you saw here, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Go ahead and like, comment. I'll answer any questions you may have below. And again, make sure you hop in the Discord for more educational value. Thanks for watching.